So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build an anti-over-the-top golf swing. So if you're someone who's been struggling for so long with swinging over the top like this here, this is going to be the perfect video for you, because I'm going to show you how to really start again, build it from the ground up and have a swing that doesn't have the chance of swinging over the top. But even if you're someone who doesn't want to rebuild their golf swing, there's still going to be some great information out here for you to fix your over-the-top golf swing. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. So guys, just like we said in the intro, this is a guide on how to build a golf swing that is anti over the top. So you can see it's a long video. It's a much longer video than I normally make. But what we're going to do here is we're going to break it up into the different parts of the swing. We're going to talk about conceptually what would be the best ways to swing the golf club in certain areas to not swing over the top. So from grip to takeaway to backswing to then going into the downswing transition and through the golf ball. We're going to talk about all that, but we're going to get to right at the end some really simple drills to do, really just a couple drills and a way to practice to really make sure you are doing this properly. So make sure you stick around for that, or if let's say you watch a little bit and you want to get right to the end to watch those drills, you can skip to the end if you want to do, but I would watch through all of it so you got the info. So let's start on grip. Let's work our way up from there. So grip, yes, we can absolutely grip the club in a way that will encourage over the top and a way that will definitely not encourage it. So we want to do the way not to encourage it. So like we know with over the top, if you're watching this, you certainly know what it is. It is that aggressive out to win path going through the golf ball. So grip wise, you can grip the club in a way that will encourage this movement to happen massively. So what I see with a lot of players, they'll be gripping the golf club extremely weak with their right hand, the trail hand. Right for me is a right-handed golfer. Really on top of the golf club with that V, the arrow that gets created between thumb and meat of the hand, pointing up to the left-hand side of their body. You can see if I set up to the golf ball like that, look how high and above my right forearm is to my left. See how it's right above it? You can see the tattoo of my left forearm from underneath my right arm here. So that's putting the golf club and the forearms in a position here to where they're going to want to move in this direction, where that right arm's going to want to rotate, wrap over, and it's going to create this over the top type of look. So we don't want to do that, of course. We want to be having a way that encourages the forearms to move in a little bit more neutral of a way going through the golf ball, anti over the top. So I'd want you with the right hand to grip it in a more neutral, maybe even slightly strong if you definitely don't want to be swinging over the top. So where we would have this right hand, we want that arrow pointing really around kind of either right chest, armpit or shoulder area. That's ideally where we want to. So now you can see as I'm set up to this golf ball, you can see my left forearm is now on top of my right forearm. So as then I'm moving back up to the top of my swing and I'm moving down, that right arm is going to have a much easier chance to stay underneath my left forearm, have that tucking move with that right arm naturally, and that's going to help me swing that club on a better path and less chance of swinging over the top. So right hand, that's exactly what we need to do. Arrow up towards really anywhere around here, chest, armpit, shoulder. Any stronger than that, you'll probably get quite drawy. You definitely will really probably hit a hook shot, so I want you to still hit the ball functionally. Left hand, really you can swing with the left hand anyway or grip it any way you want and not swing over the top. So I would always, okay, if you're going to have a standard or slightly stronger right hand, I would want you to be more standard with your left hand. I'd want you to see when you're looking down, 2 to 2.5 knuckles would be ideal, because we've got to remember we're fixing the path portion. We don't want to then, let's say, make the club face overly strong in the golf swing. Otherwise, we will just be hitting the ball left. So 2 to 2.5 knuckles when you're looking down, that will be ideal. So if you can grip the club, V pointing up to right shoulder, having those 2 to 2.5 knuckles, you'll be in a much better spot to have a grip that's built to not swing over the top. So we've talked about grip. Now let's talk about takeaway. So again, this is the conceptual part of it to make you understand. Like we said, the drills are going to be at the end of the video. So takeaway. Absolutely, we can swing in the takeaway for a way to swing over the top and a way not to. So the way that you would do your takeaway if you were going to be an over the top golfer, which I see this so commonly, is a big forearm rotation where the left forearm really rotates. So the technical term of this is left forearm pronation. So you can see how my tattoo starts to point more down towards the ground. You can see how the hands will go out, the club head and the club shaft will massively whip on the inside here. So really excessive amount of this will cause that movement. So now what we're going to see, open club face 2, we can see then as a player starts to move back in their backswing, we're going to see how the club's going to move quite horizontal, quite laid off, quite shallow early in the backswing. And then we're going to see a counteraction happen in transition. We'd normally see a golfer then start to re-pick the shaft back up by just moving with their arms to get the shaft less laid off. But then that's putting this motion in place at the top of your swing. So then what's going to happen in transition? Remember, golf swing's one fluid movement. You're going to swing over the top. We see that so commonly. Golfer, massive forearm rotation, really laid off club, reorganization at the top. And because that club is moving in this direction over the top to get back to the top of the backswing in a good position, it's going to carry on that way, moving the downswing. Remember, whatever is in motion will stay in motion. That is certainly the case with this here. So what we want to do is have a way more passive forearm movement. So instead of having this left forearm roll to where that tattoo starts to point more down towards the ground, we want my tattoo here instead to be pointing more up towards the sky. So that's a much more neutral movement. Now you can see how I get fairly perfect of a takeaway. Perfect of a takeaway. So we can see how that's happening. Club face is now square when I'm having the underside of my forearm point more up towards the sky. Now, we're going to see as I continue to move up, the club shaft angle is going to move a lot more vertical on the way up, so a lot steeper. So then as I move up to the top here, I'm having no reorganization happen. So as I'm moving up, now gravity can now affect the center of mass of the club, which is the balance point of the golf club here, which is the point we want the club to start to pitch behind us. So now gravity can hit it and we can start shallow in the golf club. You might have heard steep in the backswing, shallow in the downswing. To be able to make sure you're setting up nicely with that takeaway to encourage that is having minimal forearm rotation. You could almost, if you're a golfer who really struggles with that real rolly forearm, thinking of rotating your forearm the other way to where your left forearm, underside of it, is pointing up towards the sky. You could feel that. Now get that club moving steeper and then it will want to shallow out. So less movement that's happening from the top, less of this reorganization that's going to cause an over the top golf swing. We want it to be neutral, that forearm, really having that underside pointing more up towards the sky. Get up to top, then our body's going to want to shallow it with gravity and move through. So grip being good, having this neutral forearm movement, and then swinging through. So the next portion here, guys, is by far one of the most important parts to have a golf swing that doesn't swing over the top. And that is your depth at the top of the backswing. So what is depth at the top of the backswing? That is your hands being a little bit more behind you. So if I was here at the top, my hands would really be either around about my heel region, maybe slightly behind, and the left arm being more across my shoulder, so blocking the view of my right shoulder, or slightly underneath. Remember, this is a golf swing to not swing over the top. Because I will see a lot of golfers at the top of their backswing, their left arm really high and the hands on top of it, on top of the body here. So when they're in that position, what's going to naturally happen from there is they're going to want to have a great start to the downswing. So they're really going to want to have that good dynamic movement where they're shifting and they're turning towards a target. Here's the thing with rotation that a lot of people don't know about is when you're rotating in the golf swing, whether it's backswing or downswing, your hands follow where you're rotating. So just to demonstrate that here, I'm going to outstretch my right arm and I'm going to rotate and do nothing with my arm here. You're going to see how it's always going to follow where I'm rotating. So if my left arm's high, and so are my hands, and now I rotate, see how now I've swung over the top. So that's where a lot of golfers, I'll have this in my rotation videos, they will always say, well, if I try to rotate, I will always swing over the top. Rotation causes an over the top golf swing. No, it doesn't. Only if you're doing it horrendously wrong. And that is if you are having that left arm way too high. So what we want that left arm and the hands to be more back and around. Remember what I just said? I said, when you rotate in the golf swing, the hands follow you. So what does that mean for the backswing? Outstretch my arm again. I'm going to turn, do nothing with my arm. Goes more around me. So if I want to get in a position that enables me to, when I do rotate in the downswing, the club not to be thrown over the top, I have got to turn in my backswing too. I have to rotate in my backswing. Don't be one of those people that tries to resist rotation. It's not 2005 anymore. We're not trying to do that resisting the lower body. It's absolutely awful. So here's what we've got to do here. Make sure you're freeing up your turn. I want to see a good hip turn here. I want to see players, let's say with the back belt loops on their trousers. Let's say this palm pot here is where I'm aiming at. I want the back belt loop of my trousers here to be pointing at this plant pot on the left-hand side at the top of my backswing. If I'm doing that, then my left arm is going to be nicely across my shoulder line and my hands are going to be quite nice and deep. So really making sure I'm really getting a good gradual turn. Make sure that back belt loop of your trousers is pointing left of your target. And you're going to coil up those hips nicely. Your hands and your left arm are going to get deep around you, and then that's going to encourage you to swing the club on a much better path in the downswing. That rotational effect to the hands in the downswing now won't throw the club over the top. It will get the club falling on path perfectly. So let's get those hips turning. Rotation is so important. So once we got that good neutral takeaway, then we turn those hips up. Upper body will turn already. You don't need to try and get a shoulder turn. Your hip turn will do that for you. That's going to get that left arm deep, and then we swing through the shot. It'll look a little bit like this. So now we're going to talk about downswing. So downswing, we're talking about in just one section here. So backswing, we really had in a couple different sections, but downswing, one. Why is that? Because downswing's reactionary. We don't want to be thinking of different positions in the downswing because it happens so fast. We want to be encouraging the movement to happen to then hit the positions naturally. So got to remember, positions are just a space and time in movement. So this is by far where most people go wrong when they're trying to swing and not swing over the top. I'll see people get up to the top of their backswing. They might have done everything I just said, absolutely everything, and then they still swing over the top. Why is that? Because their sequencing in their transition and in their downswing is out of sequence. What is that though? That is, as they're getting up to the top of their backswing, they're starting their downswing with rotating their chest. Chest rotating far too hard, far too early. That, no matter how good your depth is at the top, how good everything else is, you will swing over the top. Like we said, rotation will force the hands outwards. So if you rotate hard with the chest, which that's what the arms are attached to, coming out of your shoulders, and that's what's holding on to the golf club, then you're going to have that movement times 10, the hands going out in front of you. You're going to swing over the top. Now, this is something I talk so much about on my channel because it does more than just swinging the club on path here. So have a good watch through. You're going to find so many videos about this. But I want the downswing to be started with the lower body and mid-torso. Rib cage down. That's what we want to start the downswing. We want it to start in a shift and rotating at the same time. Same time. Remember, it's a dynamic movement. It's movements together. So get up to the top of that swing and really start that downswing with lower body and mid-torso. So I'm going to hit a shot here just so you can understand it, and I'm going to freeze frame and go back and forth on what this movement is so you get a bigger idea. So I'm going to hit a shot, and if we look at that swing there, we're going to see, as I'm starting the downswing, see how that lower body and mid-torso is uncoiling and it's going back towards the target. It's starting the rotation. You see with my chest is staying very, very passive. My chest isn't starting with a rotational move. It's staying, so it's still pointing at the camera. Now, if I was wanting to build a swing, like this video we're talking about, to not swing over the top, I would have that lower body and mid-torso really, really separate to as much as I physically can do with my mobility. But more than anything, I would focus on this chest. So imagine where my zipper is on my chest, staying pointing behind for as long as I can in the downswing. Because then that's going to guarantee, if I can do that, if I can turn that lower body and have that chest point behind me for as long as I can, that's going to guarantee the club is going to be falling on a more into-out path, which is the opposite of an over-the-top golf swing. So lower body, mid-torso, starting that downswing and continuing to turn and having that chest point behind for as long as I can. So again, if I was going to think and make a golf swing to where I would never swing over the top, I would really have the only part of my rotation with my chest through the golf ball. Because if let's say I'm someone who just always struggles with over the top, and if, let's say, I even rotate my chest a little bit in mid-downswing, I could still swing massively over it. So again, this is to build a swing that will not swing over the top. So I want that lower body, mid-torso to start the downswing. This could be one of the drills we're going to get into. And I want that chest to stay pointing at the target, the zipper to be pointing at you guys for as long as I can. Imagine there's someone behind you standing there. Keep that chest pointing at them. Your chest will follow your rotation. You're not going to be here like this. It's not going to happen, especially if you're an over-the-top swinger. Chest point behind, start downswing, a lower body, mid-torso with a good unscrewing rotational move. And you are going to swing way more on the inside, and that's how you're going to start your downswing if you want a non-over-the-top golf swing. Okay, the practice structure now. So now, if we were following everything we're doing here, we wouldn't be swinging over the top. But of course, consciously thinking of something in every single position is the recipe for disaster. It's important to know about it, but now we need a way to practice it in a simple manner. So what we're practicing here won't cover absolutely everything we're talking about, because then we will be thinking of everything. We don't want that. We want to get the core movement patterns right there. So what we're going to talk about is how we're going to structure our practice, and then in the next bit here we're going to talk about the actual things we're doing. So I've also got a video course up all about over-the-top golf swings that I made quite a little bit of time ago, but it is really good on expanding your knowledge on this topic, because there are a load of things in the golf swing that cause over-the-top swings to happen. So that is on Skillist. So Skillist is the app that I do all my online lessons from, and on the front page of my profile, so just type in Jonathan Chown once you've downloaded Skillist, you'll find my video courses on there. And if you're really serious about getting rid of that over-the-top golf swing, you need to get that course. And of course, that's right where I do my online lessons. If you need extra help, we can fire up a lesson. So, practice structure. We need to have dry drills, which are drills without a golf ball to encourage the perfect movement. And we also need a kind of practice station that encourages us to move in the ideal way that, well, our closest we can in our ideal way, what we're trying to achieve here. So an anti-over-the-top golf swing. So we need to do a lot of practice swings, lots of them, and then lots of swings in a controlled environment with a practice kind of environment or template, we could say. So let's get to it. So let's talk about 2 drills here to do for your dry drills. So without a golf ball. Now, very first one. This is brilliant. If I get this stick out the way, this is called the wall drill. Now the wall drill really encourages you to get the top of the backswing in a good deep position. So deep, as we know, depth means more behind us. And it will encourage you to keep the club moving on path in the downswing. So let's get right into that here. So I'm going to go here where my back is up against, a little bit of distance, but up against the wall here. So I'll get up to the top, touch the club to the wall here. So imagine, let's say if you're on, it was a brick wall, just turn it over, don't scratch your club. But if you're here with a netting here, touch the wall with your club here. Now, that's going to get you in that deep position. Make sure your body is turned as you're at the top here. So now what I want to do, I just simply want to slide the club down as I start to perform the first half of my downswing. Because if I'm sliding that club down, as I start to turn and have that good sequencing, my club's naturally going to come away from the wall just after left arm parallel in the downswing. And then I continue to turn. But I really want to feel that sensation of the club and the club head staying on that wall in the early downswing. The opposite of the over-the-top move. What I don't want to do is I don't want to do this via dropping the right shoulder down. Will that cause you to swing over the top? No, it won't. It will do the exact opposite, but you'll start fatting the hell out the golf ball. Don't want to do that one bit. We don't want to have another problem start to come up. We want to do this efficiently. So, start to turn, lower body, mid-torso goes first, let that club slide down the wall for the first half of the downswing, and then swing through. Lots and lots of reps with this would be ideal. So, drills without a golf ball, most important ones by far. I say this to all my students. Loads of people don't think they're important, but they are the most important thing about making a swing change. Because that's the only way you can swing in a controlled environment and absolutely nail the movement you want. Because when a golf ball gets in the way, we can have everything helping us, but it still won't be perfect. That is perfect. So, one other one. So only two here, like we said, there's not gonna be a tremendous amount of drills here. Now, sequencing in the downswing. Like I said, this is the number one thing I see people do wrong. The downswing, they'll be starting the downswing with the upper body firing too much first. You can't do that with this because you'll find out in a minute. So, let's get here. See, I've got this resistance band up to an upright. Now, I'm in kind of like a makeshift top of the backswing here. Now, because I'm holding on to something with a lot of resistance, I can't rotate that upper body too early because I've got something that's stopping me from doing it. But what I can do, I can really separate lower body and mid-torso and get a good rotational move here. So you can see, this is the movement I'm doing. Lower body, mid-torso is turning. So I'm training that ideal move of having lower body and mid-torso turn with the chest staying passive. If I get a lot of reps in with this as well, I can guarantee that I'm going to start to move in the downswing with that same sequencing. So, that is our dry drill. So let's get into the practice station to be able to nail this. So guys, practice station. So pretty much what that means, I'm setting up something which is controlling my environment. So you can see here, first things first, I've got this massive long stick. Now what this is the swing plate. I would 100%, if you're serious about this, buying this training aid, because you can use this in a load of different ways. And luckily, I've got a discount code for it as well, which is JChownGolf in lowercase at swingplate.com. So, what it is, swing plate with an extension pole. Definitely get the extension pole because we need it for this. And that is, it's just a long alignment stick. So if you remember, I was talking about left arm depth for the top of the swing. And the lack of it, with it being high, will cause an over the top downswing. But if I have this angled in a way where this stick is just above my right shoulder here, and I swing too much up, I'm going to hit the stick. So it's going to force me to swing more around me. And if I wanted to be real crazy, do it real extreme, I would have it really quite low. So it really forces me to swing to almost where my left arm is underneath my shoulder line. So that's going to take care of that. So like I said, we're controlling our environment here. So if I can swing underneath this, get that good turn of the hips, I'm going to be taking care of that portion. So if I then make sure my grip's good, so remember that right at the beginning of the video, and we really do a little drill to nail the takeaway, so a little thing to nail the takeaway, then all I have to do is swing under this and have a tiny little thought, which you can use on the golf course brilliantly, this thought for the downswing, and you'll be doing and getting the perfect repetition with the golf ball every single time. So here we go. I've got this ball halfway underneath, and this is about a hand's distance away from me, but it's about just a little bit above my right shoulder. So let's talk about the takeaway. Like we said, we want that underside of the forearm pointing more up to the sky. We don't want it rotating towards the ground. So, just like the tiger here on my forearm, I want its face pointing up to the sky here. That's going to give me that neutral takeaway. So then I won't be encouraged by my takeaway to swing over the top. So what we're going to do, we're going to do like a Ricky Fowler type of drill here. So we're going to get into takeaway position. We're going to stop, make sure that forearm, underside of it, pointing up towards the sky. If we need to feel a little bit more extreme, we could feel like a Matthew Wolff, for example, who does the exact opposite. We don't really need to go that far though, but you can feel that. So I'm going to get to there, stop, then I'm going to swing up and swing through. But I'm going to think of one more thing. So active thought-wise, once we've done that takeaway, that's done. Then we just need the thought of swinging underneath this and keeping, remember about the zipper on the jacket or around your chest region, pointing behind for as long as possible. That's going to be the bit that's really going to get you swinging more on the inside. So here we go. Let's get here. Good. Tiger face is pointed up to the sky. Then I swing up, and as soon as I'm swinging down, I'm still swinging underneath this, but my chest is pointing behind for as long as I possibly can. My chest will still whip through and rotate through the golf ball, especially if you're an over-the-top guy. It will still happen. But then we're going to be hitting the ball perfectly in our anti-over-the-top time every single time. Then it's just repetition, guys. Remember, you've got to rep it out. There's no substitute for practice. You'll never just watch a video and boom, be there. This is why this is a practical advice. This isn't me just saying, do this and you'll swing not over the top. This is, you actually have to practice this. So, here we go. See that? Exactly how I'm doing it there. See, I stopped in a takeaway, make sure I got a good turn, swing underneath the stick, and I made sure my chest was pointed behind for as long as I possibly could. So I'm going to hit these next couple balls doing the same thing. So, yep, be perfect. Again, another one. Yep, one more. So nice neutral takeaway. Swing up, swing underneath it, chest pointed behind me for as long as I can. There we go. If I did that all the time, what am I going to do? I'm going to build an anti-over-the-top golf swing. So, lengthy video, guys, of course, but like I said, well, I think I said it at the beginning of the video, there's not anything on YouTube like this, because normally this type of video is behind a paywall. But I wanted to give the over-the-top guys, because I know how frustrating of a fault this is. I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of over-the-top students, and I know for them how frustrating it is. And to be honest, most of the videos about over-the-top on YouTube are bad. They don't go deep enough into it. Now, because this is such a complicated topic, there's way more to this subject than what I'm saying here. That's why I've got my over-the-top course on Skillist, which is on the app, not on the website. It's only on the app. So if you want to have more knowledge about it, you can pick that up. It's not that expensive either, it's great. And if you want me to help you with this, online lessons are on there as well, where I've got single lesson packages and lesson subscriptions where you can have as many as you want with me in the space of months. So apply this to your golf swing and you will be able to build that golf swing that you would never swing over the top with. Just make sure you get the reps, guys. This is not going to take a month. It's not going to take 2 months. It's not going to take 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll take about a year of you constantly doing this. So, but when it is, remember, you're going to improve on a gradual scale going up from there, but you are going to be having the golf swing you want if you don't want that over the top swing. So if you enjoyed this video, of course, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So get going at this, absorb the info, do the practice structure, and you're going to build an anti over the top golf swing.